there's a lady getting her hair done. There is a guy getting his hair done. And if the lady doesn't like you, if you're rude or whatever, then it'd be like, next. And then it's like, right, you got to stop the haircut. So you'll have literally half a haircut. And that would be super funny.
The modern version of shame. Shame.
They've got to be respectful and actually be interesting and be like thoughtful. Otherwise, they're going to have half a haircut. So I would say that teaches like good manners.
It's just a ChatGPT voice on the other end.
Let's go. Right. I have some really good... Well, I have a big announcement to make, so I'll make the big announcement at the end, so you can hang on till the end. But I really enjoyed watching your extra YouTube video.
Thank you. Stirred up the comments from you, Dave Logan, and some random person.
Yeah, I think it's good. Any sort of interactivity is good, isn't it, to some degree? So.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I was trying to create shorts from the first video. For some reason, I was struggling to download it, so I thought, I have to do a second video. But then what I've done is I've had this thought that I've been dying to do is create a long-form video, create it into shorts, chuck everything onto YouTube, and then just schedule the shorts throughout the week. So then I don't need to think about it. And just to see if anything traction, put low effort, just to see if it's more of a traction hitter. I've not even reviewed some of the clips, so I don't even know if they make sense.
I was trying to... So I did a couple of native like recording in the app to see if recording in the app would give me better reach than producing something separately and uploading. And I just did one sentences because I was hoping that like a one sentence or a couple of sentences would loop a lot, whereas it doesn't go anywhere. So if you record something too short, they're not taking it anywhere. So it's literally 5 seconds, which is like it's 2 sentences or a sentence. And on TikTok, it wouldn't go anywhere. So it's like 5 views. But all my other stuff is like 100 plus. And then on YouTube Shorts, it also has like single digit kind of views as well. So I'm like, yeah, I should not do just one-liners. But I was thinking like one-liners, like affirmation-y type, like statements. I thought that would actually work, but it doesn't. So I'm like, cool. You need to get it a little bit longer.
Just do
and then it works
one-liners and then just sit there. Because I remember, I don't know if you were there on the craze of if you watch my TikTok for a minute, I can pay off my mortgage or whatever people were doing.
Oh, no.
For that?
No.
So it's basically what they were doing was the retention of people basically sitting there for, it was either a minute or 5 minutes, basically would give enough people to pay for surgery, pay for someone's mortgage, buy food, whatever, because their interaction with their video will be massive. What they didn't know was I think you need either like 10k followers or 10k likes before that kicks in. So it was basically just another ploy of rich people become rich, because it's loads of people like, oh yeah, just follow me. And one guy was like, I really need to pay off my student loan, and I'm going to do that if I get 100k of people watching this for a minute. But because I don't have anything else to say, I'm just going to eat my bowl of cereal. But please stay with me. And he literally just eats his bowl of cereal right next to it.
Yeah, that's funny. Another thing I quite like about TikTok is
you should just be caught out as if you're having cereal, and it's like, huh, and then say one liner, and then just go back to eating cereal very slowly.
Yeah, especially when if you can hook somebody in, like what's going on here, what's going to happen. So if you can like start off with an activity, that's why they always blend. Like Minecraft videos, they blend some sort of like activity with it, or like like the women doing their makeup, like girls doing their makeup, and they're telling you a story, wherever, like you're hooked in because they're like doing something visually, and it's kind of like progressing through as well. It's fascinating. One thing I noticed on TikTok recently is like, I like their interaction with 2 times, so you can speed up videos, right, just by holding down. I like the fact that they chose to do it by holding down and not by clicking and changing it to 2x, because that means for a fact that they're still watching, because they're literally, for a fact their fingers are still on the screen. So I'm like, very small, intricate interaction difference, but very, very clever.
Yeah. I find it funny because on Instagram, if you hold your finger there, it pauses it. So if you switch it between the apps, they do completely different things.
Yeah. And it's all about, for them, they're trying to just get retention of like, how do we know that you're actively on this app or not? And I think, you know, how like it automatically scrolls. I think I've noticed like that stuff's not happening so much now, because you want it to kind of like play, and then you scroll it. So then they know the user has done that interaction rather than it automatically doing it. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, as a caveat, if you hear lots of banging and stuff, thankfully there's no banging now, but later on, if I make any jumps because they're banging, they're basically bulldozing through into the hall now, because the staircase is going to go in tomorrow.
So, excited. So is it got an outer skin layer thing, I'm guessing? And working on
so it's all like done on the outside. None of the internal walls or none of the kind of like insulation and stuff has been put in. They're also waiting to put in the windows, because the windows are too heavy to kind of like pulley up on a rope. So they want to put the staircase in and then walk the windows up the staircase. So it'll be interesting. Tomorrow the staircase is coming, so then they'll be able to put the windows in once the staircase is finished. So
I was going to say, I'm surprised they're not doing staircase till last, but that makes sense if they actually need it.
Yeah. And also it kind of is like, once they've done the staircase, they can then work out where the inner walls are going to be. So then from there, they do the next walls in. So it's like they want to figure out the outer shell, but they want the staircases in, so then they can figure out the outer shell, and then the internal walls will all be measured off the back of that. They can't just
do it perfect and then knock a hole, create a stairs, boom, your room's there.
Yeah, it reminds me of like, have you seen those like
Maybe
diggers?
That should be a business, actually.
Yeah, you know those diggers that dig tunnels? And you're like,
oh, yeah.
We've lined out exactly where we think the digger's going to come through. And then the digger, like, because it's got these like diamond cutter things in the front, right? This like circle thing, tunnels. And it literally comes through like perfectly, like maybe slightly off to the left or slightly off to the right of like where they've estimated that it would come through, because they're all like laser precision stuff. I'm like, that's fascinating, because you're like literally miles underground, like to be able to like perfect it.
I wonder what the market is for, you know how you have prefabricated like offices and studios and all that to chuck in your garden?
Yeah.
Imagine if you had prefabricated roof rooms, like lofts conversions, that you literally we know exactly what angle it should meet and how wide the perimeter is. Slam it all, chuck something on here, bolt it along the edges, done. Like, that would be very fascinating.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Adding a hat. You'll be basically creating hats for houses. That will be the business.
And what you could have is like, if it could extend in the middle. So for example, like these houses are like hundreds of years old, right? So if you built a house which had this ability to like extend from the middle out to the sides, so you build it slightly smaller and then you have like a couple of centimeters either side that you can like push it out. So then it fulfills like right to the edge. And then you just like seal it around the end. Because what you wouldn't want is like you build it, you layer it, you like drop it in, and it's like there's a gap. So you're like, because everything's a little bit like dodgy and a bit off. I remember like for work experience, I worked at this architect's. I won't say the location, so you don't know, but in North Wales, this architect's place, and we went around laser measuring a house, right? And then you basically come to like some CAD, like computer aided design, like application to like draw out the floor plan. And essentially, as you do the measurements and map it out, so you start with one end and you do the measurements according to what you've done, like according to what you've measured. And then you're hoping that the two lines now will connect to each other because you've drawn it like a square, right? If you draw the squares and you hope that the two lines connect, right? Because that's what it does in real life. Well, funnily enough, it doesn't. So you're like, okay, you have to like tweak the numbers to kind of like get it to kind of connect at the end point. So I'm like, this is bizarre, because I think we were using a laser measure to measure the walls, but it might be that, you know, maybe the wall is like kind of like lopsided and it's shorter at the bottom, like who knows? But I was like, what? This is not done with any precision. This is kind of concerning, but that's why they caveat all these drawings, right? Like things are estimations and all this stuff. But so yeah, now I'm like, cool, it's just a rough guide. So really what you want is the real space in real life to measure it, to like fit things in rather than going off like guessing. So when you have like internal walls in a loft, really what you want to do is measure from the external walls, because those external walls are like correct, right? You don't want to just be like, oh, I think it's in the middle here somewhere. And you want to always measure it like off the two walls to get it right. But I'm glad I'm not a builder to some degree, because I don't think there's enough like precision as such. But then I'm also like, if you are a builder that are super into precision and like good at it, then you can steal the competition, right? Just be like very, very good at that.
I guess the difficulty with that is your perfection is your time, and your time is your costs. So then no one wants you. Or just the super million billionaires, and then as long as you get those clients, then you're sorted. But if you don't, then you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's interesting. Well, on the YouTube video front, thanks for commenting on mine. I was like trying to edit it last night to be like, cool, I need to get another episode out before tomorrow, before we record. So, and the reason why I look so tired is because I've been up like 2-3 a.m. the last few nights because I'm on like this creative hype. But I'll share more of that in the actual pod when we get started. So I think I've got 3 things.
You must be knackered. I wouldn't be able to do that.
The guys are like knocking on your door at 8 o'clock as well. So I know 8 o'clock is not early for some people, but it's early when you go to bed at 3. Anyway, do you want to intro us in, and then we'll go for it.
Yep. I think we're still doing the barber thing, are we? I've literally just been planning for it today.
Awesome. I literally forgot. I completely forgot the entire thing. So yes, we'll do the barber thing, and then I'll add some extra things at the end.
Well, I forgot about it till yesterday, then panicked, and then forgot about it till this morning, and then panicked. So when you said, do you want to do the pod now? I was literally prepping for the pod. So I don't know how far this will go, but
everybody watching knows that we do this kind of like in a rough and ready kind of documentation rather than creating. So this is very much documenting the fact that we're planning a podcast. That's what our first episode was, and we're still doing it at episode 50 plus. But yeah, let's still do that. And if we get dry, I've got backup.
You got prime.
and yeah, announce. Make sure that I announce the secret thing that's going to come at the very end.
I've got something else to tell you.
Is it background? Is it background stuff, or is it main prime time show story?
A bit of both. I'll class it as background because I think it's funny.
Okay, just say the preamble, do the intro, and then say the punchline, and then you have to watch the preamble to get the punchline.
Is basically someone's created a Instagram channel of doing a small clip from the show Cars. Is it Cars? What it's called? The animating cars, basically. Yeah. And it's literally a car driving, doing a reverse spin, looking at the car behind, and then carrying on. And it literally is day one of, I think I can get more. I can get to 1 million more than my sister can get to 1 million with OnlyFans or something. And it's literally the same post every day. But then he's got a score of like his sister. It's like OF, whatever number she's got /1 million, and then him with whatever number he's got /1 million, and he's like rocketed past her, and it's just so funny that he's got like 300k views on day 25, and it's literally the same thing. I thought it was so random, funny. But I might do that against you. I might be like, who can make it like you against the 6-figure business and me against a random meme.
Absolutely. People love a competition. People love to watch, like, there's this company, Superbase, the people that run the databases and stuff. They're kind of like, were fighting with this like calendar, like an alternative, like cal.com, I think they're called, like a Calendly alternative. And they were like bad mouthing each other over Twitter, which is really funny because it's all done sarcastically and jokingly, but people watching it are like entertained by the value of it. And then all of a sudden it's like they've come together to be like, let's collaborate on this idea. But yeah, people love that competition of like, we're going to launch this product, and there's like, whatever, that product sucks, like we're going to launch this product. And they love to watch that, so long as it's done in the right attitude, right? The right thing. But is that OnlyFans views or is it OnlyFans income?
I think it was subscribers.
Oh, okay. So followers and subscribers.
But I think he said my sister's free OnlyFans, which I didn't even think that was a thing. I thought it was just paid subscription. So
yeah, you kind of are free because, like, if you remember, before it became what we know it as OnlyFans, people were doing like cooking shows or kind of like arts and crafts and stuff. So that stuff you might not subscribe to see, like people knit and all that stuff. So yeah, before it became more what we know it to be, it was like arts and crafts and teaching and all that stuff, which is just fascinating how the industry shifted
The landscape changes.
Yeah.
I think that's ready to rumble.
Go for it.
I always feel like I should say good morning or good afternoon, but people could be watching this at random time. But anyway.
You just say all of them.
Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop.
And welcome back to Don't Be a Doorstop. We actually have co-hosts now. Well, my one's written down, but I don't think yours is. So we have co-host Dan Ryland and me, Tom Ryland. We are creating more content for you guys, whoever's watching. Dave Logan, I'm pointing at you. And if you're not listening to this, I'll just say something about you at the end. And then we should just drop in some random bits. And we are creating more content for you guys. So we're trying to keep consistent with Don't Be a Doorstop and creating our own stuff. So I'm creating stuff over at Tom Ryland, Dan over at Dan Ryland stuff. So he's trying to create a 6-figure academy. I'm correct, and then I'm just going for 100 videos and seeing what I learn along the way. So today we are talking about a barbershop and a surprise that I don't even know what Dan's going to talk about at the end. So let's get into it.
Great intro.
So I actually put effort in this time. So my figuring out, I've created a Canva document with a lot of just currently print screens because I literally did this 5 minutes before. I'm showing my iPad for those who are listening. You should move over to YouTube or Spotify to actually see what I'm pointing at. But anyway, so we're talking about a Barbers in Flint. So I have the opportunity to potentially help out with a strategy regarding social media, digital stuff, video stuff, maybe even a website if needed. I mentioned the idea to Dan to be like, oh, it'd be really cool to sit down, create a bit of an audit, what can be improved, how do we go about doing it, to then presenting it to Sam, who is the owner of this barbershop. But then Dan was like, that would be a good idea for a pod. So we thought we would do it on here. And I guess it'll be fresh because both of us forgot that we were talking about it this week.
Absolutely.
And then I've got my notes here so I can write things down that are good and write things down that are bad. Just remember not to pick them up next time. So yeah, so I'll set the scene. So we're in a town in North Wales called Flint. It is a barber that's
population 10.
All of them are women, so the barbers are doing bad. No, I'm joking. So he is a owner of this place for about 4 or 5 years now. He's a local lad, so knows a lot of people. Locally, he has just started to got another barber working alongside him. That person's part-time currently. They might want to up it for him to be full-time in the near future. But he's basically wanting to build the business on that front. So his socials, I think, is Instagram and Facebook. He doesn't have a website. He's got this thing called Booksy. So it's a platform that you can book in loads of different things that are in the local area, from massages to haircuts to nails to stuff like that. So he's just one person using someone else's platform. So that's to sort of be able to book him in. I love it how my scroll system doesn't work. And yeah, he's on Google to be searched, which is positive because some people don't even do the basics on that front. Yeah, so, and then his social content currently is a lot of people of either photos or videos of people sat in a chair or just their hair. Some stuff are in the chair. He has done the odd thing outside. So do you want to kick us off with whatever your instinct thoughts are, or do you want me to share mine?
I've got, so just
I
while
have forgotten everything.
No, just while you were sharing, like, a great idea came into my mind. So I was like, while you're sharing all this stuff, I was thinking the classic thing is like, how do we get more people through the door, right? However, now you don't even need to have customers, right? Don't focus on getting customers, focus on entertaining people, right? So what you could do I'm reminded of like BBC Radio, right? How do they get more people to watch the videos that they produce on BBC Radio, right? Of like iPlayer videos and stuff. So from the radio, they're trying to direct people to iPlayer. They were doing this, you hold a bunch of water in your mouth and they're saying funny stuff, right? And somebody spits the water out on each other. Now that's a visual thing that you need to see. So you can't like just listen to the radio. You kind of have to be on the iPlayer for it. And then if you're there, you'll spot something else, right? So I thought that was a clever way of taking a medium that you're kind of like used to, which is like predominantly audio, and pushing somebody to something more visual by doing something that you just have to see with your own eyes, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
could you essentially do something similar with like the barbershop? For example, I really like watching hardcore fans like be the commentators. And you know, when you have a hardcore Liverpudlian fan and a hardcore like Everton fan, and they're going at it, you don't see the football, you just see them commentating, right? And they're going nuts, and it's super entertaining. If you basically took those individuals and gave them haircuts at the same time that they are doing the commentary, and you would do it for like local teams, right? So local teams in the area, you would invite a guy over that's from Flint. Every time Flint plays, you'd like have a haircut with a guy from Flint. And hopefully if he has some other barber as well, you'd be giving a haircut to the other guy. And they would basically be doing it in like the commentating and also giving them a haircut. And I thought that would be funny and it'd be really interesting to watch. So you'd be like, pay to basically see me cut hair for these guys. Now, funny thing is, the haircut doesn't necessarily need to be good, right? It could be just entertainment. And whether or not that brings in people or not, you don't think, oh, they're going to give me a bad haircut. You would go to that place like, oh, I saw you on YouTube. You're giving haircuts to like commentators and funny. And then when it does come to haircuts, like we did a really, really good job or whatever. So I'm like, how could you blend like entertainment and literally not care about like your execution? Because you can get a good haircut anywhere. So like do something different, right? Like don't compete on good haircuts. Compete on like entertainment value, and think of like the Greg's pastry guy that did the song, like what's he called, Big Baby or whatever, what's his name?
I can't
Yeah.
remember.
And then like the chicken shop lady, right? Like it's an interview, but the interview is different because it's the style of the interview is a bit more awkward because it's like it's in a chicken shop, right? And it's a bit different. So similar with like the hot wing stuff, like how can you do something completely different that's way more like entertainment value? And could you blend in football or some sort of sport? Because again, most guys probably watch some sort of sport, and they could watch it where you have like, and it could be essentially a competition, right? Like if you think you're the best barber, come to my place. But yeah, that's my off the cuff idea. So I'll let you share some of your ideas, and we'll keep rolling.
Idea.
Yeah,
That's good.
straight off the dome.
From a basic point of view, when I was getting my haircut at Z place the other day, I said I do really like the photos of the haircut because you get a bit of an idea of what, I guess, skill that he's got. But I said the difficulty that I had is there was no video or photos much about him. So I actually didn't know him because I basically said, similar to you, I can get a haircut from anyone, but I bet the biggest pull for a barber or for one to hold down clients is probably the personality.
Yeah.
People come back for the personality. Instantly the personality goes or isn't what you can click with, you then move on to an ex-barber to find that click that hopefully you find it when you're younger, stay in the area, then you've got haircuts for the rest of your life. So I guess it's tapping into how do you show your personality, who you are, and I guess if you are an entertaining being, doubling down on that. But from what I can gather, it seemed like he's an outdoorsy person. He's got a partner. I can't remember if he's married or not. Partner, but with a kid. So I think he shows a lot. I think he likes to give really good customer service, but B, I think he likes to show that he cares. So then he said, like in the seat, we've had guys open up about confessions to me. We've had people crying on here and that type of thing. So for me, it's like, oh, that's really interesting. Either there's sort of two ways to go. Obviously, if you want to go down the entertainment route, it might be harder if you want a more compassionate, caring landscape because people are less likely to cry if they know they're being recorded. But let's say I'll push it down the caring route and you could do the entertainment for now. I was half thinking, well, the next person you get as a worker, let's say you want another barber to be another part-time or another full-time, I was half wondering, instead of going for a barber, why don't you train someone that's a counselor that then has got that skill set, that knowledge that not only can lighten your load off your trim, but lighten your load off your shoulders, in taking things that might be weighting you down or helping you process through things, or even just like a business consultant, actually have two completely different, not different jobs, but to some extent, by not getting a barber, you're getting someone for their personality again, teaching them how to barber, to be like, people want haircuts, you want to show compassion. Let's say it's a guy that's very orientated towards men, mental health, emotional health, maybe even certain special needs. It's doubling down on that as your personality, that you can show care and show your, I guess, your value and your worth in that regards. So that's what I was thinking, is actually, could you get someone that is into therapy, but maybe might be a bit more dyslexic, so likes to be fiddling around doing stuff rather than being sat in a chair, or like ADHD, that you could be cutting their hair, asking them how they're doing in that regards. So yeah, that was my first thought. My second thought, only because I think I heard it from Gary V, is could he set up near a car washing firm so that someone can get their car cleaned? There's a place in Flint that's got an open space, and half of me is like, if you were in a random vehicle that you can set up anywhere, that you can do it at festivals, that you could do it at this car washing place on certain days, or if you had like a container that you can have a smaller shop, that you could basically do haircuts while people get their car wash. Because at the end of the day, you sat there waiting for your car done. Why don't you get your haircut at the same time? So it's the practicality of, could you partner with another company, and you might get different clientele of people going for a car wash, not realizing that they could get their haircut done. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, either the caring side or the combining with other companies side.
The caring side is really fascinating. I have watched in the past where barbers are cutting hair with kids that have like sensory kind of like difficulty, as in like something's very overloading. So yeah, you're trying to cut their hair in like a distraction kind of a thing. It's very fascinating to watch that. A couple of, I saw also the Gary V thing that you're talking about, the car wash and the barbers. That's a great idea. I started to think as well, like, what other things are like good and bad about barbers? Great that he's got a booking system, because what I find, I don't want to be sat there for 3 hours waiting my turn. I have no time for that. So anytime there's a booking thing and I can be seen at that time is great. And also they can get paid up front for it, right? Let's say that you had like a booking thing where you pay up front for it, then you can kind of like plan your cash flow a little bit better rather than just expect somebody to turn up. One thing I was thinking, like,
so just on that point, actually with his booking firm, is you leave down a card just in case you don't turn up. He doesn't actually take the money. Because when I was there, I was like, have I paid for this or not? Because I couldn't quite remember if it pulled my money or not. And he's like, no, it's just if you don't turn up. Which I was like, oh, okay, I'd be interested if it's already paid for. So then I don't even need to bring my card to the place. But yeah.
Because it makes it feel like it's a free haircut in some weird way. Not a free haircut, but like a free experience. If you go somewhere, have a haircut and leave, and you've not paid, but you've paid through your card, right? It'll feel like, oh, that was kind of good, because we're so used to paying for everything. Tying in with the I forgot my idea now. It was really good. It was the car wash, but it was something else. This is it. Yes, I got it. So barbers are territorial. Barbers are also like, don't get your hair cut by somebody else, right? They might be a bit like, oh, why have you gone and get your hair cut somewhere else? Because chances are you've seen that same barber for years. So not only are you trying to increase people coming to you that may have never been to barbers or don't go to barbers often, but you also want, like, how do you take those like loyal people that have gone to it? So I'm like, could you spin some idea of like you would basically watch them on TikTok and you blur out their faces, and you'd basically have stories of like, I've been to my barber's 14 years and I basically came to you for the first time, but like, don't tell him because like blah, blah, blah. But you'd have to make sure that you don't like basically like grass up like other barbers, like bad barbers or whatever. But you'd have some sort of
Anchorman. It'll be just like some Anchorman fight for the different
fight
channels.
in some thing, yeah. where you'd have just some like confessions of a person or something. But I wonder if you could do it also in the branding of like, if you were doing like Facebook ads or Instagram ads, you could just zone into Flint and be like, your barber doesn't need to know. Like, try us. We won't tell your barber. Like, all that stuff around like the secrecy. That might not be a big deal, but sometimes that is. I've been aware of like, you go to one barber and then you never turn up to that barber again, right? Will he or she think like, oh, did they not like the haircut or whatever? So could you play the whole like, turn up here, we don't mind if you never come back, and play that whole like secretive thing, like, shh, no one needs to know kind of thing. And especially if you had it in like a darkened room, because barbers are always like bright lights. They're trying to be super inviting. But if you had it a bit more like, you know, like lights around the rim, like as if it was like a streaming room with like purple and blue light kind of things, a bit more like subdued, I think people would enjoy that more, because I don't want to be sat there like people watching me because we're all in bright lights and stuff. You want it to be like subdued and hidden a bit more.
Yeah.
With like a beaded curtain.
Yeah. The other thought as well, going back to the car wash, is I've noticed a guy has got a food van right next to the builder's trade. And I think it's redoing that idea of, if let's say you did have a car, that you could just go to the builder's trade either over a lunch or over a, just as it's finishing, to then anyone that's like, I need a haircut but I don't have time because I've got to pick up the kids or whatever, that you could like get a haircut, bite to eat, and then carry on.
I think with all those things, I don't know exactly how long it takes them to cut my hair, because some places were like, cool, they'll cut your hair and then they're like, do you want me to cut your beard? And they'll like upsell in the experience. So in the end, you've ended up staying like an extra half an hour or an extra 45 minutes because they've done these extra stuff to you. Whereas like, if you knew like, I've got this and it's this exact time, you're going to start at like 11, you're going to finish at 11:30, like, you know exactly when it is. Then it'd be like, you can plan ahead. So you're like, yeah, cool, I'll drive my car here. It'll be washed for half an hour. I'll cut my hair for half an hour. Perfect. It's not like, oh, your haircut's going to be 45 minutes. Now, it might be, it depends if what you ask for, right? If you're asking for skin fade, it's probably going to be a little bit longer. But like, how do you make it like incredibly accurate on the estimations so then you can plan? Because I don't know how long my haircut takes, really, because I just go at the time it starts. Whereas if you could have something at the end, then you don't mind like paralleling something in the meantime.
Yeah. And then the last parallel that I was thinking is, imagine if you set up in a corner of a pub. So then if someone's gone to watch the football but wants a haircut, doesn't have the time, then every now and then you're like, oh, this game of the Euros, I'll be doing haircuts at that bar or whatever. That was another thought. I'm not sure if it would work in this area, but yeah.
Let me riff off that. Restaurants have started to do like real-time pricing. When it's busy, the price of the Big Mac goes up. When it's not busy, price of the Big Mac goes down. Now, they tried that somewhere and it was awful. It doesn't make sense, kind of thing. It didn't work. Yeah. However, with haircuts, because there is no like constant stream of traffic, people are predominantly coming like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, right? How do you get people to come in the hours that you're not busy? So could you, one, live stream the whole place? So you could be like, it's empty right now, I'm going to go, right? There's a free chair, you go. So you have some sort of like red light, green light type thing of like when we've got availability or we haven't. So seeing like real-time availability. But not only that, it's like, because the reason why I don't go walking down the road is because I know for a fact that there's probably going to be people waiting. So how can I tell you beforehand? So if you're not going to have pre-planners that book ahead of time, how can I, because I want to go when there's nobody there, because I can't book with this guy. I have to call him, but then he doesn't pick up his phone. So like, how could you do that? And also, could you have price fluctuation? So like Saturday is the same price normal, but you just do it cheaper non-Saturdays. So for example, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, it's like 10% cheaper. And then Fridays and Saturdays is just normal price. So it's not that they're more expensive. It's just like you discount the bits so you get more traffic at those parts or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. Discount on, yeah.
Because all you want is
peak times.
Yeah, you want consistency, and you want so you want like regulars and all that stuff, which happens, but you want like to fill out the gaps and also just like cash flow, like planning. So can you get it up front and also that can you have like more consistent of like having people in the non-hours, as it were, and also like late hours. Could you like stay open till like 9, 10 o'clock? Just so like Wednesday night, you know how shopping things they do like till 10 o'clock. Could you do just Wednesdays? Because for me, I'm like, sometimes I don't have time. For example, banks are always open in the daytime. As soon as people finish work, banks close, right? Or there's a rush on the banks to go and get it before it closes at 4. Like no one's around at those times. So could you do like Wednesdays, you open late in the day and you stay open till 10, so you could have like late night haircuts. And at that time, we have like night mode, which is like, okay, there's a bit more like club music and the lights are like dimmer or something. Like I would really enjoy that. And it would be fine, because who cares if you have your haircut at 10 o'clock? You're still going to have like 2-3 hours before you go to bed, right? It's not like, oh, you've had your haircut, it's all styled, and then you're literally going to go to bed 10 minutes later, you know?
But with that night mode, whilst you were talking about it, I was actually thinking of that could be like a dad mode, especially if you've got a young one. You put to bed at like, let's say 8, 9, I don't really know the times of stuff. And then you've got a section that you're like, oh, I'm free to do stuff, but let's say I don't have the energy. Well, going to a barber, okay, it's a very simple task, but something's getting done for you. And then it's
like a
not
sensory
too
mode.
strenuous. So then you can, head to bed or whatever. It's not like you're working out.
Isn't there like, don't shops sometimes do it like in the morning? They used to do this in COVID, I think. They did like this sensory mode where they dim the lights and they don't play any music. And it's like 1 hour from 9 till 10 or something. So people that don't want, stuff to kind of like stimulate them, like low stimulation, you come in that time. It could be that you come to Barbers and they have like a silent hour where basically, don't worry, we're not going to speak to you like at all. And you come in and be like, so it's similar to like a silent carriage in a train, right? Of course, people still speak on the phone on the train, but if you had like this low sensory, like we're not going to be too, and you have this like 0 touch points kind of thing, right? You're just paying on your card beforehand, so you don't have to do all that stuff. Like low, no music, silence, or even like nature sounds, or like just like white noise or whatever, like a low sensory thing.
And then the other thought that I've got, that's very good, is creating a podcast. So if you had, I guess, asking who's willing to jump on the podcast, and then you can talk about topics either regarding just being a husband, a dad, a brother, and all those types of sort of topics, or just
especially
going outside and
that was what I wanted to say as well, because you said the whole business thing. Why don't you get people to come in, and if they sat on a particular chair, they know that they're okay going live, right? So it could be that they live stream all the time and it's muted at this one chair. And then when somebody sits in the chair, like gets unmuted, and that person's getting a haircut, and they're allowed to pitch their business, they're allowed to rap, they're allowed to do spoken word, they're allowed to sing or whatever, and literally perform to the camera. So this barbershop would essentially be giving them bonus reach or like a bonus audience because they've like turned up. And then you could get like semi like celebrity-esque people to come. They have the haircut and do like a performance, right? Think of like COVID gigs. All that stuff was pretty interesting. So you could be like at 8 o'clock tonight, like I was going to say Pavarotti for some random reason, but like at 8 o'clock tonight, this local celeb is going to get their haircut. So we'll be live streaming it, and they're going to tell us their backstory, or they're going to tell us, or they're going to introduce their new film or whatever. I think that'd be like kind of cool to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, like an interview chair. So
yeah, and I think these are all great ideas. And I think the thing that keeps coming back to me is it's not the ideas are slim, it's more which way you want to take it. Because if you
Absolutely.
want that, people opening up, well, some people can open up on a podcast and that can help a lot of people. But if it is that, no, people open up, they open up secrets that I don't want to share vibe, then it's sort of doubling down on the care and the, I guess, the privacy side of things. And it's going, okay, what does privacy look like? Is there a way of making, like you're saying, is not being portrayed that you were at this barbershop in bright lights whilst you're crying? Is could you make it a more less obvious space? Maybe even change the name to the confession, the confession box.
and maybe you actually do blur the faces, right? And you do like obscure stuff. It doesn't need to necessarily be that you're out and about, because again, people might know you. And if you did it where you blur them and you also distort their voice, like maybe they'd be fine doing it. Yeah. I think another thing is like, because I'm so focused on like, people are already getting their haircuts from somebody else, right? So essentially you have to just be like more interesting and better than the competition. And it's not necessarily in the fact that the haircut is better as such, right? You can do the whole pricing or availability and stuff. Could you do classic age old loyalty card? After 5 haircuts, your 6th haircut is free. Like, that would be a game changer. I've never seen a single hairdresser or a single barber do that. Now, the reason that they don't is probably because that person will come in and get their haircut anyway, right? But I would suggest that you would get like let's say if everybody like cut their hair once a month, for example, right? Or once every 2 months, for example. If you had like if you get 5 haircuts, your 6th haircut free, you would probably get them doing haircuts more regularly within that kind of time scale. So you get more cash within a shorter time scale, even though it's like, well, what's the point? Because I'm losing one haircut, right? Because they're going to do haircuts. But I'm like, yeah, but the time scale of those haircuts might change. You might get more money sooner and kind of have it more bunched up. So you'd have more capital to then invest in your Facebook ads or your TikToks or whatever. Because wouldn't you do this? If I had a free haircut after every 5, I would literally go to the same guy. Like, no question.
Yeah. I think you reminded me of another thought that I had that I actually didn't write down is subscriptions. So instead of, let's say you're 20 quid for one, is that you just do £10 a month and you're allowed a haircut every two months. Because then again, A, it makes you feel like you're getting it for free. B, if you get given a budget from your wife, your partner, yourself for like self-care, you're only putting a tenner away. And that's the thing is you can do you pay twice before then you get the haircut type of thing and keep it in as a loop. Because again, if you know that person's always going to have a haircut every, let's say 2 months, you're getting the money beforehand and even the tenner like 2 months before you're even doing the haircut. So then, like you're saying, you're reinvesting it. And then you could add subscription models to be like, oh, we can give you extra, you get free drinks when you come by adding an extra quid or whatever. But it's
Absolutely.
bringing that.
You could also
making the outgoings per month lower for them, but they can still keep that consistency going for them.
It's also entertaining them while they're waiting. So could there be like a PlayStation there? Like, yeah, cool, you can have magazines or like, yeah, cool, you can watch music, but like, could you be playing football? Now, you'd obviously have to pay for some subscription, and that probably be a little bit to like pay for the ability to do Sky Sports or whatever. But if they had like Sky Sports in there, or if they had a couple of PlayStations in there, you'd definitely get more people in there. You'd have to make sure that they also come for the haircut properly and not just go to play games. But essentially, Barbers become a community hub, right? So how do you make it as a community hub? And people turn up there, like, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Let's, in the last few minutes, let's try and think of, like, wild, like, crazy ideas that literally, like, are funny. They might not make sense. They might not work. But it would just be, like, interesting to do.
This isn't particularly wild, but I was reminded of the guy that cooks steaks in random locations. And I think it's going, could he just bring that to you're doing a haircut in random places around Flint, even if you're promoting different businesses, like you're randomly in Home Bargains cutting someone's hair or whatever. Because again, you're becoming that person that people trust you and your brand. You can be like, I will come to your business and we'll talk about your business and I'll cut your hair. And then that'll be a program. So you're like cutting your hair in the middle of an office whilst you talk about your business or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You know, the song that comes to mind, you know that, and I will walk 10,000 miles or whatever. And like they're walking and the background is changing kind of vibes. You could do that as like a music video style thing where the guy's cutting the hair in like a Flint venue, and then it switches to another Flint venue, then it switches to another Flint venue, and you just like get some local band to put their music behind it or whatever, and that'd be like clever. So could you have tattoos and haircuts at the same time? Right, I'm gonna see if I can spitball some nuts ideas. Could you have tattoos and haircuts at the same time? And like, what if you could have like, it's kind of like 2 for the price of 1. Like, you can have a tattoo done and you get the haircut for free or something, and it all happen in the same location or something. You know, what else could you do at the same time getting a haircut? I guess you could do your nails and your toenails, but the guys aren't really into doing that stuff, are they? So like a manicure and a pedicure, free.
If
like,
it was more, you were a barber's inside a salon, you could do matchmaking and put two people that are single next to each other and put them on like a
haircut date. Yeah, and they're facing each other, and you have a barber, like, because what you could do is like have a hairdresser.
Facing each other, because then it could be like,
backwards.
Is it Love Is Blind or whatever? In the sense,
Love Is Blind
like,
and haircut vibes. Yeah,
it's like you're looking ahead and it's getting to know the individual. Because I'm assuming you might, maybe it is like you come in at two separate locations and there's this window in between you.
Okay, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring back Cilla Black and the whole, what was that called? Blind date. So we're going to do blind date, and it's all based on having your hair cut at the same time you're doing a blind date, right? So you'll have a lady having a cut in chair number 1, and then you'll have like curtains, because obviously we're used to COVID, so you have black curtains down the side. You'll have 3 guys getting their haircuts, and basically the camera just cuts and they're asking them questions. I'm like, okay, to chair number 2 and to chair number 3, and they're all having their haircuts done at the exact same time. And basically, the person that doesn't get chosen has their head shaved. So, like, you've got to make sure you get chosen. Otherwise, this haircut is going to go horribly wrong. And now they're going to shave your head.
But what you could do is sometimes girls' haircuts are way more longer. So you could class it as speed dating for her. Because let's say she's got a 2-hour appointment. You have 4 guys.
Keep the podcast rolling. We're on it now. Have
a 30-minute cut. And then that individual... It depends basically if the girl wants to go on the date or if it wants to have. But I guess they would know that because they will be in a certain chat.
I've got a brilliant. That's a great. You've taken us down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to carry on going down the rabbit hole. There's a lady getting her hair done. There is a guy getting his hair done, and basically, if the woman doesn't like him, it's the whole like Tinder swipe left, right. Basically, the guy's got to like keep chatting and being interesting. If he's not interesting, then he has half a haircut, and that's fine. So you basically. You're going to get your haircut and you have to like charm and kind of like be nice to this lady to like be interested. And if the lady doesn't like you, if you're rude or whatever, then it'd be like next. And then it's like, right, you got to stop the haircut. So you'll have literally half a haircut. And that would be super funny. And you know what that would do? That would essentially basically introduce
it's basically like the modern version of shame. It's
like a trap door kind of thing, but a bad haircut. And I personally would be like, you'd get a bunch of guys going there thinking, they can chirps or whatever and like chat up girls. But then they've got to be respectful and actually be interesting and be like thoughtful. Otherwise, they're going to have half a haircut. So I would say that teaches like good manners.
It's just a ChatGPT voice on the other end.
Yeah, there's not even a real woman behind that screen. Yeah, okay. What was the name of the guy? Sam. Scratch all those other ideas. Those other ideas were just spitballing just to get to this idea. You do a dating show. Yeah, those ideas were just like, we were just stretching. You do a dating show and you call it Make the Cut. You have a lady in one chair and you get her having her haircut, whether or not it's a barber or a hairdresser or whatever. And then you have a lineup of guys come in to have their haircut and they're basically chatting. So the camera will switch to both of them side by side. You're cutting the guy's hair. And essentially, when the girl says, next, you have to stop the haircut and the guy has to move on. Now, in the background, somebody else is going to finish the haircut, of course. But it would be super funny if that happened. And that would be a great show. So why don't you just do that? Of all the other ideas, scratch all the other ideas. Just do that. I think that would be phenomenal YouTube content. It would be like sidemen of hairdressers, or of barbers, basically.
The other thing that I forgot, and this is not as crazy, but having a push towards father and son having their first haircut together to make it less intimidating, that they get to know the experience and feel it all and have like a 2-for-1 or some sort of deal for that, taking your kid for the first ever haircut.
VR hairdressing or VR barbershops. Could you basically have VR headsets? So basically the person can put a VR headset and you cut their hair around their VR headset. And then once they pull it off, you've finished the gap bit.
I've seen that you could get a fake Apple Vision Pro. So just say you can have a go at the Apple Vision Pro whilst you get your haircut. It's like this fake botched version.
There is something called like Google Cardboard, where it's like a cardboard thing, and you put a phone in the front. And basically, if you could just line it up so they could put their eyes against it, and then their hair could still be cut.
I have
You'd to, like,
thought
move it
about
around.
that. My only difficulty, because I don't know the rules, is like if you're playing radio or if you're playing video or if you're playing a video game, because it's a business, I'm assuming it comes under more scrutiny. But I know that they can give away free drinks. So how can you push the boat in other free stuff similar to, because I know in gyms sometimes they play the TV. So is it that once you're playing the TV license that you can at least play BBC One or an iPlayer stuff? Or is it you have a TV with AirPlay that they can play whatever they want? So if they want to catch up on their YouTube, that they can just play it ahead of them. So technically you're just facilitating that. Because it would be interesting if you could tap into, well, it's more their stuff that they're playing off their phone that they've just plugged into.
Yeah, scan this QR code. It logs you into our YouTube, or it logs you into our Netflix, or into your Netflix, so you can carry on watching that show that you haven't got round to catching up to. And maybe that's it. Like, there's an hour on a Friday night, which is basically like catch up time, where you come in and you just like you put AirPods in and you listen to like individual TVs. And you can watch your YouTube show and you can have your haircut, and then you're like done. Because sometimes people don't want to talk and they just want to watch something, right? So you'll catch up on your YouTube, or you'll catch up on that like TV show you didn't get to watch. Especially if you think about like dads, right? Could there be like a show that I've been meaning to watch this show, I've just not got round to it? Or like, I've been meaning to watch Match of the Day and I've not watched any of the football, so I'm going to watch this here. And then you basically play Match of the Day for them with AirPods and headphones in, and then like chilling. Yeah, that'd be a cool one.
Yeah.
I still think your blind date, like, make the cut. make the cut. Yeah, that's it. Literally, I'm so excited. Please, Sam, please do this. Do like just literally a trial
at least.
Yeah. And what you do is just be like, if you want to be on you be on this show, free haircut to be on this show. Done. Yeah. The only trouble is like it's a bit difficult to have a camera right in front, right? Because sometimes the depth of these places aren't that big, so to have a camera right in front so you could see the haircut being done, and also a camera for the other person.
Yeah. Genuinely,
that would be such a good collaboration. Please, if like somebody do this, I would love to watch this show.
Literally, and I guess the other thing is, from if you're already married, because let's assume that people are married or got engaged, is just either building friendships or building businesses, in the sense of you try and line up with someone that's in not similar fields, but fields that can help each other out. So you might bring a business problem and you're sat next to someone that's a YouTuber, and you're a shop owner and you want to know more. So then the topic you're talking about is the shop owner wants to get on YouTube. So then you're building a community element of getting
like a skill
up
share.
Your own sort of people that if it's not they want to open up, actually they want advice. You double down on, could you have a community of people giving advice?
While you were talking about that intrusive thought, you could actually call the TV show Cut or Blow. And I think that'd be quite funny. I'll leave that there. Yeah, that's the Sidemen Plus version. Yeah. But yeah, I think that Skillshare stuff is very clever, because again, how do you build community? Can you get an old guy and a young guy, or two young guys, or like two middle-aged people, or like a dad and somebody that hasn't got kids, or a young dad and an old dad, to like share stuff, and you basically have them side by side having their haircut and they're just chatting to like connect, basically. That would be a great thing. I also thought, because you said he's into outdoors, could he essentially go and do haircuts like at the castle, or in the forest or whatever, and do stuff in nature? So you'd have somebody having a haircut in nature. It would be like interesting to do. Yeah, he'd obviously have to bring all his electric stuff and the battery powered things, but yeah, that'd be clever. Right. Anyway, Sam, please do this. Make the cut / the nighttime version of Cut and Blow. That'd be so funny. But yeah, and then if you do like somebody, what would you do? You'd basically like, how would you follow those people on? do you like bring them back for another haircut, and they both have haircuts, and be like, so how was the date? And they basically share the date while they're having the haircut, like they review the date like, while they're having the haircut.
Link them up with a masseuse, and then they both have like shoulder head massages next to each other.
Yeah, that's funny.
Just using loads of different businesses in the local area.
Anyway, you need to literally send this to Sam and like get him to watch it, and get like, Sam, because we now know you're watching this, in the comments put what idea that you thought was the best, and then which idea that you're actually going to do. Now, they could be the same. I don't want the worst. It's just the best, and what you actually going to try. Is there something in here that you're actually going to try? And yeah,
unless you want to keep it a secret, just say there is one or two. That
yeah. Just let us know if you're going to try any of them. I think this was a great pod. We should do this more often, spitballing business ideas. And I thought, again, you've got to throw out the first like 40 minutes and have those last 10 minutes as like the golden idea. We got to the golden idea, which is a TV show, full on entertainment style. Let me tell you my secret. So to reward you guys for watching so far, we're coming up to like an hour mark, which is great. I'm enjoying the fact that we're almost doing hour pods. Back in the day, it'd be like tough to think we could speak for an hour on a pod specifically.
Yeah. With each other.
Yeah. Can't be putting up with you for that long. No, I always like chatting with you. I have produced my first ever song that is actually going to be on Spotify. So my artist name is going to be Dan Diego. And what I've done is I've taken, I'm using TikTok as inspiration. So things that rank high on TikTok, I'm using those as inspiration to write my own song. So my first song is inspired by $1 Million Baby. My first song is called $1 Million Payday. I've recorded all of it using, I think it's called Soundtrap, which is essentially an online web version of like audio software. And in the background, you'll see that I have like a MIDI keyboard and stuff. And I've recorded it all. It's all my voice, all my rhythms that I've programmatically put in. And I'm trying to get it. So I'm using TuneCore to submit it. And what I'm hoping to do is sync it to things, aka get my music on TV and film. What I want to do
is the Instagram.
I want to
competition. You and Kimmer. Who can get on the most tracks?
Who can get synced first? I then want to start doing. I want to do a sync song that gets synced to Welcome to Wrexham. I want it like there's something called like swagger rock, I think it's called, where it's like like all this like clunky, clashy kind of like sounds. And it has that kind of music in Welcome to Wrexham. If I can do something with the lyrics of like As Strong as a Dragon or something like that with like Red Dragon in it, I think they'll use it because it has this like Welsh side to it. So if I can come up with something, and what I wanted to do is they're only 1 minute. I did 30-second kind of like thing, and then I duplicate it. So it's kind of like it's 1.5 minutes because I duplicated 3 times, or like have 12 bars or something. So I'm trying to just do these little things and see if I can get things going, because you only get paid after listening to 30 seconds on a Spotify track. So if you made a track that was 31 seconds, great. So it happens to be because of musically, it needs like it needs to go up and it needs to come down vibes. I've done it 1.5 minutes, but it can be looped, so you can loop the track as well. So the instrumental sounds great. So when it's out, right now it's been blocked because I needed to add some extra metadata that they specifically required me to do because I've remixed it. But I've also done something else. It's not 1 track. It's 6 tracks. And the reason why it's 6 tracks is because for 6 figure. Oh, I might have accidentally done 7 tracks. The original track, then I've done an instrumental. So that's 1 iteration, right? So I wanted to show people like you build something once and you can use it in multiple ways, in the same way of long form video. Long form video, you chop it up into little bits, right? 1 track, instrumental, sped up version, slowed down version, sped up version, instrumental, slow down version, instrumental. Oh yeah, it's 7. And then I've done a reversed track. So from 1 track, I've got basically 6 additional tracks off the back of that. So I'm like, again, I just want to show people, if you look at Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, you'll see that they're doing like the cutting edge kind of like trends of stuff. And they did sped up songs, they've done slowed down songs, and they've even done a cappella songs. Now it makes more sense for them because they're rapping. But those songs are getting plays in the same way like ages ago. You know, when we said YouTubers should make second channels and just naturally port over the audience. So now they get 2 views for the price of 1. We mentioned not too long ago that Twitch streamers got second streaming channels, 2 streams, like your one streamer now makes 2 views. Same with music, 1 track. Make it. I could probably do an acoustic version of it as well, right? And it comes up with multiple versions. So I'm just experimenting because there's a fact. 80% of artists on Spotify have fewer than 50 monthly listeners.
Okay.
That's like so much because like Spotify.
Is that 50 individuals or one person listened to 50 times?
I think it's individuals. I think it's individuals, but like 80% of Spotify, I think there's like 8 million songs on Spotify or something like that, or is there 8 million artists? I can't remember now exactly, but like there is. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's 8 million artists. So there's 8 millions on artists on Spotify, and actually no, there's actually less. There's more than 8 million because one of the facts are 8 million artists on Spotify had released fewer than 10 tracks in their lifetime on the platform.
And 50% of the time, Dan gets his stats right all the time.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's Oh wait, I've cut the quote wrong. I think I've copied it into my document. You see, I think it's of 8 million artists on Spotify. How many have had fewer than 10 tracks in their lifetime? The answer, 67%. So I'm like, if you can make more than 10 tracks, then you basically, so it's like what almost like 2/3 of all those 8 million artists. If you make more than 10 tracks, you are basically ahead of like 67% of the competition. So I've already made, from 1 track I've made 7. So I'm like 3 away from like equaling 67% of Spotify artists. And like, you don't realize how little it takes to just get on par, you know, with like predominantly, because again, we get put off by, we always compare ourselves to Drake, right? Or Beyonce. And like, well, of course they've got like 13 albums or whatever. It's like, cool, you build up to it. But most people have less than 50 listeners a month. And also 67% of all the artists on there have fewer than 10 tracks.
So you're going to give a live review on your channel?
Actually, yeah, I'll play the track and be like, this is an interesting track. But also what I thought, I could use the track as my podcast track at some point. So then I could get royalties for it. So again, create your own stuff. It doesn't take long to like programmatically put in a song. You could then get royalties from that song being used in your own YouTube video. However, your YouTube video would not make money because you can't monetize it, right? Because there's a copyright strike. But if you balanced it, right now I've got like not enough views, not enough subscribers yet to monetize. So could you initially do it like that, you use a track and you get paid royalties on the track, then switch it to use a different track where you get paid for the views. So using that intellectual property, right? Like for different parts of your journey up. So yeah, that was the secret thing.
Watch this space, I guess.
Yeah. I should have done Dan Diego like anonymously, but I'm like, cool, I probably will end up directing people there anyway. So yeah, it's fine. And have a listen.
If it is your podcast song, then
yeah, people will start to know who it is, won't they? Which is not great. But yeah, and on that note, keep hammering those nails. I think it's a good time because I think there's going to be lots of building noise are about to happen right now. So thanks again for watching. And Sam, please, like, we'd love to interview you about how you've initiated your TV channel of your interviewing Make the Cut. Until next time, keep hammering those nails. Bye for now.